Okay, guys, alternate ending. Take 43.
With so many movies on the net and TV, it's kinda hard being up and film savvy. Do you catch a show while you're on the go? And how do you know what to keep or what to throw? How do you know what to keep or what to throw? Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending now. Please give a warm welcome to the hosts of Alternate Ending.
Welcome to Alternate. We're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm film school dropout Rob Jarasinski. Across from me is our casual moviegoer Carrie Jarasinski, and joining us in person, our very own critic in residence, Tim Brayton.
Boom.
Yes, boom. Boom goes the dynamite.
Can you boom yourself?
I do all the time.
I think if you're not introducing yourself,
I would
then yeah.
call it lowering the boom.
Yeah.
Lowering the boom.
Lowering
okay.
the boom.
All right. Good to know. Just wanted to know.
I'm not even sure what that's a euphemism for, but I do it.
All right.
You three, we have a lot in common.
Do we?
We like movies.
Okay.
But you know what else we have in common? We all spent some time growing up in Chicago.
Sure did.
Just like our
Sure did.
Patreon, our patron, Chris Trengove, who gifted us top 5 Chicago movies, which is what we'll be covering on today's episode.
Top 5 Chicago movies, not including
Chicago.
the film Chicago.
But let's be honest. Would we have had it?
It would not have been on mine.
It wouldn't have been
It wouldn't have been on
any
this.
of our
So I think
lists.
it's safe. But it was important to have the clarity in so that we could draw from as many different films that embody Chicago. And I'll be curious later on how you all define that. But first, have a little bit of news that I want to share with you all.
All right.
And with
6
the
weeks.
audience. 6 weeks to live.
Yeah, is that it?
I mean,
I thought it was going to be something about shaving your ball hairs. I came in the dark. I don't even know what to do now.
no ball hairs, no death.
Well, I mean, if you're
yeah.
dying,
Oh,
it stands to
man.
reason that your ball hair follicles are probably all shutting down.
Yeah, I agree.
Fair enough. No, this is something that almost did cause my demise, though, and that's that I've made the decision to make a film. Make a feature-length film, y'all.
Feature-length film. My
Now-
God, sir.
I know some people
Go back
in
to
the
that
inner circle.
Death option.
Yeah, the death option. This is something that really did cause a bit of a rift between in our relationship, Carrie. When as
That's
I've been
fair.
pursuing
Carry
this
on.
for the
Yes.
last
It
few
did
months.
wonderful things for Carrie's in my relationship. If you know what I mean.
It brought you
For
closer.
sure.
Nice,
if you
nice,
know what I
nice.
mean.
Sometimes you just need a shoulder to lean on in hard times. You know what I'm saying?
Very hard times.
So no, for the last, I would say 3 months or so, have been working on helping to produce it. As I mentioned in my intro, I'm a film school dropout, so I know enough to be dangerous about the movie making process. But I left film long ago because I never had the talent to actually be the creative
you're
side.
the perfect combination of enthusiastic plus untalented and ignorant.
Yes, to be a producer. It's the perfect
It's
combo.
great. I love
So
it.
that is what I am
That felt
embarking
good
on
to
doing.
hear out loud. I'm gonna be really honest.
And I haven't talked much about it because up until this point, the reason why we're bringing it up on this episode is because we have verbal commitments from a number of investors, and our minimum budget in order to move forward and be greenlit has come to pass. So yeah, this thing it's happening. It's going to happen. So I also bring it up because we do a podcast here every once in a while, and I would love to document the process of someone like myself who has no business making a movie, and just walking everybody through what that experience is like. So I think the working title that we have for that particular kind of secondary podcast that we'll have for the show is called Amateur Hour, is what we went with.
I'm so sorry.
You're just trying not to, you've just been containing the laughter?
No, yeah, no.
I will say I
horrified.
am no like physiognomist. I don't believe that body language is like the be all and end all of how humans exist in the world. But I will say that Carrie's posture and overall just mien during the last minute and a half, I have felt the temperature of my tea sitting next to Carrie drop by about 30 degrees in the last minute. Like there's just like this wave of pure ice just radiating
It was
through this room.
touch and go. It was touch and go there for
say I've been super
for long.
supportive.
Yeah. And I don't even know if you are now.
No, I'm
but
definitely not.
I think you've
No,
just
definitely not.
you've just accepted.
So
Like,
you're-
The story, as I heard, was that you each had your pool of money. So you put money together for the household funds.
yes.
And then whatever's left over is your respective money based on how much you've earned.
That's our financial structure.
seems fair. I told that to my partner the other day, and he said, "Well, of course. How else would you
Right?
share your money?"
Yeah.
Apparently
I
we're
don't
not.
know how other people do it.
We're
Well,
not in the majority.
Well, you see, I was in a situation, and this is not the story, but in 2021, in part owing to the structure of paydays, I made less money that year than I've ever made in any year that I've been a working adult. So I'm broke as shit. So I was hoping that he would be my sugar daddy, and he basically said no. But so the story I've heard is that that's how you've structured your money, and that because we are coming out of a 2-year global pandemic, you have not been able to spend your money really very much on anything. You have not, for example,
I've tried to find ways.
been able to spend your money on remembering to turn your ringer off before you start recording a podcast.
It's expensive.
I get it.
The price has gone
but
up.
but that basically Rob had so much money left over.
So much.
That there was like, well, why not spend it on a motion picture? And Carrie, you could say nothing against that because that was your rule.
That isn't factual in any way. Well, the structure that you mentioned is factual. So we do have our own allowance system that mine over time accumulates so that if need be, I could purchase currently, let's say, a 2010 Prius with my savings, maybe 2008 Prius. For Rob, he could go out and possibly, if he's very careful, get a Happy Meal at McDonald's with what he has
toy.
accrued. No toy. He'd have to leave the
just
toy
the meal.
behind. So I'll tell you a little bit about the ice here. And then, Rob, I won't stomp on your parade. But we're constantly like, how are we going to find the time? Like, how can we possibly find more time to do all of these things and accomplish all of these existing goals that we have?
Is more time with me the thing that you're really after, though?
No, I need your time to be allocated to things like dishes and
Got it.
house duties and children duties and work duties and just sort of general life duties. So when you were like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I was like, well, where are we possibly going to find the time? And I'll go back to, I don't want to spend a single penny on this. That's
generally how movies are made. No
Yeah.
effort and no money. That's the. I've been doing a lot of early mornings in order to make up the time, and then evenings.
I'm also resentful of that.
8 to 10.
I'm like, you're
While
making.
you're sleeping.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
I
You
can't
could-
work then.
you could be
You're
sleeping.
so I too should be sleeping.
Exactly. And then what we finally agreed to, so there's been months of sort of this like ongoing ebb and flow of tension, and then me not asking about it, which makes me seem like I'm not interested
Which you're not, so that
because
seems very
I'm
fair and
not.
honest.
Right.
Like for out of the 3 months, I would 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 11 out of the 12 weeks, Carrie asked no questions.
Yeah.
Like I had so much to share because things have been falling into place really well, and have had nobody except for the filmmaker to share them with, and so that's fine. So that
You
brought
can
us
call me
closer together.
anytime.
Well, thank you.
I will say though, I'm not one of those people that's going to come back and say that I cared. So if this goes out and is super successful, let's say you go out and you win all these major awards, which you very well could. It sounds lovely. That was a compliment just right now.
Thank you.
If you go out and win all these awards and get all these accolades, I expect you when you're on the podium to be like, my wife, like, who do I want to give credit to? And when it gets to the point where you're supposed to give me credit, I expect you to say that my wife was
And
filled with
everyone-
resentment
she
and
was a
anger.
millstone.
Except my wife. My
She
wife,
held me back at every step of
my
the way.
wife never believed in
It is
me.
extraordinary that our marriage survived.
No. So I don't want any credit, is what I'm saying for
Well,
this.
I'm excited to share a little bit more with the audience for those who want to be on the journey. The journey will be likely from August of this year through June of next year, and that'll be just the production side. So I will be talking about updates and kind of the movie making process from my point of view as an amateur producer. And if you're interested, you'll be able to catch up with me on
and now
future
it will
podcasts.
be you, as I understand it, because as you know, I'm not participating in this.
Yeah, you'll be the perfect person to ask questions.
I think
Yeah.
you should.
No, you would like that, but that would be me showing affirmation.
Remember what is good? No, what is good podcast content are people screaming at each other and trying to destroy each other verbally.
I see.
And using their words as weapons.
I see.
To
I
hurt
see.
other people. That is why I think that it would be extremely useful, Carrie. For
Marriage
you to
is
be the co-host.
crumbling on air. I think
This would
there's
be
there's a
very
story.
exciting. We would become
Yes.
like a very, very hip, trendy, the diagnosis of this marriage in crisis.
That's true.
sort of
Maybe I'll
podcast.
come in quarterly. I'll come in, check
Okay.
in with you quarterly.
Well, I'm
on
going
my
to start.
current
I'm going to start
feelings.
with going back chronologically how we got to this point, and then the kind of the cutover period in which it'll be kind of more of a live thing is when, while we are funded, we're still going to go to Kickstarter and, hopefully, raise a little bit additional there that we can kind of do some extra things that we're hoping to be able to do. So that'll be kind of the point in which go forward from that point forward will be more of the live. Otherwise, it'll be just kind of how did I get to this point? Because a lot of work happens even before you get to pre-production as you're just kind of
It's called prep.
in the prep stages. Yeah. All the lingo.
Lots of prep.
Yeah. I've learned a lot. I got to say, I've learned a lot in the last 3 months on the filmmaking process.
Has it really been that long? 3
It's
months.
been 3 months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited about Amateur Hour, and stay tuned. Be on the lookout for episodes of that. But yes, we can jump into Chicago films. It's not going to be a Chicago film. I will say we're going to be filming entirely in Ohio. So yeah, we'll have to do top 5 Ohio films. Ohio has
Maybe a short
become
list.
has become kind of like, I would say, next to Hollywood and then Georgia, and then it's like, I would say
Ohio.
It's Ohio.
Yeah, it's like
That's
the
where
Mecca.
Above New York, you say?
I think so, because the tax credit.
I think that's factual at all.
There is a hub of individuals like in the Cleveland area and Cincinnati area. A lot of filmmakers are now making their home there.
A lot of filmmakers in New York also.
Less so.
Some filmmakers.
Okay, after New York,
Yeah,
fourth. Thank you.
California
Fourth
feels
on the list.
higher. I know quite a few that have happened in Portland.
No, not Portland. The incentive is what gets people in Ohio. So even if you're not primarily filming in Ohio, there are a lot of productions that shoot something in Ohio to get a tax credit. We will talk more about the tax credit on Amateur Hour.
Okay, we will. And this is don't get teased in that I'm interested in any way to what you're talking about. But you did say Georgia. Is Georgia? Do you also get a credit there, or why do people why do people do so many movies in Georgia?
It is favorable.
A combination of tax credits and facilities.
Yeah, the weather in Georgia as
Weather's
well
good.
is very nice.
Tyler Perry basically built like a massive filmmaking empire just to like have facilities available. So there's a lot of studio space
Okay.
as well.
Next film.
I would have been supportive if it was in Georgia, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
But we'll talk about that on Amateur Hour.
Let's focus on Chicago right now and
focus on
Patreon. Chris
Chicago.
Trengove, who offered this. Chris, also a Chicago native, quite the fanatic of Chicago. Loves himself some Chicago.
We have tried multiple times to let him and his wife know the downsides of living in Chicago.
There are none.
There are a few.
There are none.
Not where he lives. Like it's all upside. Like the Lakeview area is very nice.
True. That's true, but it's so expensive.
Wow. Yeah.
I've been looking at the price of real estate right here in suburban Madison, Wisconsin. It's expensive here too.
It's not great here either. It's not great here. But I feel like so when Rob and I used to live in Chicago, it was like an entire Saturday of errands. Like, got to go to the grocery store, got to go to Home Depot to get some knobs and like sponges and things from Home Depot. Was an entire day's event because you'd get all the way to Trader Joe's. Number one, it was 2 miles down the road. You'd get there, no parking.
Well, that's on you. If you're driving 2 miles in Chicago to get your groceries,
we're bad people.
you're not bad people. You're dumb people.
But how else would we have gotten there?
Uber delivery.
But then you got to come back.
Drive someplace closer than the Trader Joe's that's 2 miles
We're
away.
bulk shoppers. There was no way that I could.
You don't bulk shop at Trader Joe's. You bulk shop at Costco.
I bulk and drive to Trader Joe's. I get those falafel for days. But I feel like when we were there, we made the mistake. We drove there. 45 minutes of like circling the parking lot looking for a spot. There's never a spot. Inevitably, what would happen, I would find his parking spot. I'd be like, the moment of like light has
Skies
happened.
part, beam of light comes
Skies
down
part,
and
beam
touches
light,
the parking space.
park, go in, do my grocery shop. I get my little sip of juice at Trader Joe's. I get all my little freebie snacks. I feel on top of the world. I come back out. I had parked in I don't know. What's a spot?
Handicapped?
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good word.
That's
but
the word we use.
It is. Oh, okay. I parked in a handicap spot. Now I'm slammed with like a $250 ticket for parking there. And then now this has become a $400 grocery shop.
I have encountered as of yet no details in your story that reflect poorly upon the city of Chicago. They reflect at least questionably on your ability to function.
That's
world
fair. That's
of adults.
fair.
But when you think Chicago, what comes to mind when I say Chicago? What is it?
Pizza.
Vegan
is it
hot
pizza?
dogs.
That's
fuck
first
you.
thing.
Eat the
Interesting.
shit out of my asshole.
What? No, hot dogs.
Vegan hot dogs.
Oh no, but you would never know. There's like all of these goodies on top, like frizzled onions and mustard and
hot
pickled.
dogs no longer around. One of
know.
Tim's staples.
Oh, hot
Hot
dogs. Hot
dogs.
dogs. Hot dogs gone.
Yeah.
But that's why I lived
2014.
there for that.
I moved
I-
here
for-
after that closed.
For me, it's the It's the city landscape. Like I picture that cityscape.
Skyline.
That's why.
skyline,
That's
thank
why
you.
you live
Yeah.
there is for the skyline.
No. I'm saying when someone says Chicago,
Oh.
that is what triggers in my mind. Is the
Okay.
is the view.
I'm there for the food.
Definitely.
Snacks.
You got your pizza, your deep dish and your stuffed pizza, and even your square cut, the party cut thin crust. You've got your Chicago style hot dogs made out of beef,
No.
made out of dead animals,
Carcass.
an animal that has been slaughtered and carved and ground,
There's
and
actual
compressed into a tube.
probably bones in there.
Probably worse than bones.
Probably.
God knows what bullshit, literally potentially, is in your hot dog. But you got your hot dog, you got your Italian beef, you got your beef sandwich.
Still on the food. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You
all
don't
the
even.
food.
It's the city. It's the
Is it-
sports
how about the
teams.
vibe?
I would
How
say
did-
the food.
What about the people? What do you think about the people
They're
there?
overweight from all the food.
Oh yeah. But then you can blend in.
I don't know if does a Chicagoan have I think it depends north side, south side. There's a little bit of difference there. But like I don't know if like there's a person that comes to mind like New Yorker. There is a New Yorker, but I don't know if is there a Chicagoan? Like is there a Chicago person? Like
I feel like a Chicagoan is a hybrid of a New Yorker and a Wisconsinite, where it's a little bit of like, I am filled with rage every day because of the traffic and because of the chaos and because it takes me forever to get everywhere. But like, I also have Midwestern politeness. So it's a little bit of like, oh, excuse me. But like at the same time, they're running at a very fast pace when they're going down down the street. The pace is different than if you were to come to Wisconsin, where we just sort of meander around here, I'd say.
a lot of meandering.
A lot of meandering.
Sure.
The food, what else though?
I do agree with you with a point about that, Carrie, although I want to push back a little bit. I think there's a level of like wrath in New Yorkers and a level of, I mean, yes, people are moving fast in Chicago, but there's this like horrifying anthill vibe I get in Chicago in New York that I get in no other city.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So when you're thinking about films that portray Chicago, like are you looking for? Are we just gonna have like a foodie?
Oh gosh,
foodie fest?
no.
Yeah.
Gosh,
What
no.
are you looking for in your top 5?
Now you're
Chicago
actually
films?
making yourself a little bit right here, because for me, coming into this list, it had to have been the atmosphere of the movie that I immediately knew I was in Chicago. So the cityscapes, the L stations, the just the buildings in general.
I just thought of another movie.
Did
Dang
you?
it.
It's on
yeah,
my
you
list.
said
I
L
bet.
Station, and it
I
just
know.
made me think of
It's
a bunch
on my
of movies.
list. So to me, it had to be like the movie comes on. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Holy crapper, this is Chicago at some point in the movie. It can't be the suburbs. You can't be hanging out in Wilmette.
But
No.
is it enough?
No.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I know.
Is it enough to just show, or does it need to embody in Chicago in some way, like to be a love letter?
I think it has to capture the essence of Chicago in some way, within the architecture, the food, the murders, like
The murders?
Oh, very, very murder heavy city.
very murder heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had a murder in this movie, you moved to the top of my list for sure. Because again, that's the essence of what Chicago is: death and food.
Okay.
Death and food.
What about you, Tim? So other than death and food, what are you looking at when you
Death
look
and
for a
food
Chicago movie?
pretty much covers it.
Same criteria.
No, sounds like Carrie and I pretty much have the same criteria. I want something that was, it had two important things: shot in Chicago, set in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Both of those have to be fulfilled.
I feel like that too.
All of the ones on my list meet that criteria.
Same here.
Now, I will say there were some ancillary shots for. I don't know if you looked at your locations, Care, but some of mine may have been shot in. It takes place in Chicago. Shot some in Chicago, but then there's some alternative.
Mine could have dabbled in a few places.
So for me,
shots.
an example of a film set in Chicago but not shot there would be Chicago. The film that Chris told us we couldn't include, I would never have done so. Shot on sound stages in Canada. Doesn't even really look like Chicago. Very bad CGI. Shot in Chicago but not set there. I think the quintessential example would be The Dark Knight, which does feel like Chicago to me. I don't think any film has ever captured Lower Wacker Drive quite as well as The Dark Knight does, but it's not set in Chicago.
Fuck
It's set
that
in
Lower
Gotham.
Wacker, by the way.
What?
Don't ever end up on Lower Wacker Drive.
Yeah, I hate that
You will
place.
never come out.
You won't get out.
Yeah.
That's another marriage ender. Ending up on Lower Wacker. I feel like most of our
The
rage
GPS
is on
can't
Lower
tell.
Wacker. Yeah.
You can't tell if you're on upper
Upper
Wacker or lower Wacker.
It doesn't know
so
where
it's
you are.
useless. Yeah.
And Rob is not able to actually get out of a paper bag without his phone directing him on where to go. He like plugs it in. So by the time we get down there, he's like, I have no idea how we're going to get out of here. And then I get panicky, and then we're just trapped. We end up in loops.
Lower Wacker
of Lower
is
Wacker.
a very beastly place.
But let's go
don't
back to
look
how
at it.
that's not filmed in Chicago.
What's not?
The Dark Knight was
No,
filmed
it's not
in
set
Chicago.
in Chicago. It's set in Gotham City.
Yeah, it's Chicago's a
Oh.
placeholder.
Well, I don't know about
but
that.
Tim did not include it, and
Oh,
I
sure.
rightfully so. Like it needs to
Oh,
kind of hit both sides. It needs to be.
course.
it needs to represent Chicago. So
Carrie has The Dark Knight in her top 5.
Oh no.
I never saw anything that looked like Gotham City. I saw Lower Wacker.
Okay.
But we'll get there.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Carrie has The Dark Knight as her number 1.
Ah, shit.
I think there's going to be high probability of crossover unless, Tim, you're pulling some 1930 films.
Can't, because there are no 1930 films shot in
Yes,
Chicago.
I think we're going to have a large bit of overlap. So starting, Carrie looks worried, but we'll start, Carrie, with your number 5.
All right, I'm going to take my notes over here so that Tim doesn't peek. This one, again, going in, these had to come off of the top of my head. Hey, I remember something, like when I saw this, it felt Chicago.
I need
and it was
iconic
Chicago.
shots where it puts me, like, yes, I
In
feel like, I'm
Chicago.
like, okay, this is Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So while this isn't one of my favorite movies, this is one that I think you guys cannot argue. It's filmed in Chicago. It takes place in Chicago, and it takes place in the Cabrini Green area, which is 1992's Candyman.
Yep.
My number 4.
That's my number 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Can I tell you a story? Like a really short story?
As long as you don't say the name 4 more times, then we're good.
Oh, Candyman?
God damn it.
So tell us more about Candyman.
Let me tell you
I
about
can't see
Candyman.
myself in the mirror, so I'm gonna go reposition myself so I can say Candyman a couple more times. So do tell us about Candyman, Carrie, because I love hearing about Candyman.
Ron's visibly stressed. So
I think that was 5.
It was 5. I think I don't think it's any surprise to anybody that I'm a little bit more on maybe the naive side in just my life and existing in my life. So I was driving around downtown in downtown Chicago, and I got a little bit lost. And so I ended up getting over to the Cabrini Green area, and I didn't know where I was. I was a little bit turned around.
When was this?
I was probably like 18.
Oh, okay.
This was a long time
I was
ago.
just checking the year because
18 to 22.
it no longer exists,
It no
as you
longer
would find in the
It was still there,
Candyman's,
but
kind of sequel.
at the time, it
Or,
was sort
or
of...
as I could have told you, because I used to work at the Whole Foods where there used to be Cabrini Green, basically.
Yeah. Well, they took it down.
You're part of the problem.
I was a very underpaid employee. I believe I was not part of the problem.
Well, at the time, there were some sort of like newish townhomes that were going up around the area. Yep. And I remember thinking when I pulled over to ask for directions, I remember thinking these buildings were very minimalist. Like I was like, oh, they're very like simple and whatever. But I remember getting out and then asking for directions. It was no problem. I got directions, and the people were very nice and kind. And I don't know, but then later saw the movie Candyman after going there. And I remember being like, hey, I know that place. I've been there before. Like I remember chatting with some nice folks outside, and then realized where I actually was and all of the
Do you
things
feel
that
like
go around
the
it.
director set out and the writer, maybe the writers did? Do you feel like the director did? Because I think it's beloved. It's a beloved horror film.
Yeah.
I love Candyman. But I think there are some subtleties, maybe not subtle, about the gentrification, about like, you know...
I would say it is the opposite of subtle, but yes.
Yes, but certainly in the second film, like the more recent version. Sorry, not the sequel, because there is a Candyman 2, but
Right.
I'm talking
but
about...
you're talking about Candyman 2020.
Candyman 2020. They are not subtle there at all. But like in the first one, do you feel like they were trying to make a statement?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Unquestionably.
Okay. I don't know if I got the statement as a 10-year-old kid, which, you know, that's fine that if it went over my head.
What
like,
was the statement that they were trying to make? I haven't seen it in a long time.
I don't know. What is the
The
statement?
statement that they're trying to make is that the incursion of clueless white academics into black poverty is an attempt to like extract meaning out of that black poverty that is for the white academic and not sort of related to the life of the people actually living there is inherently foolish and destructive, and that to a certain extent she made her bed and then slept in it because she was going where she shouldn't have been, doing
Okay.
things she shouldn't have done.
That's fair. Can I ask another question that's completely ignorant? And I'm actually reading a book about this exact topic right now, but I'm not far enough along to have the right answers. Did people that lived in Cabrini Green want to go? Like, was that beneficial, or did they want to then have a place where else they could move? Or like, was that good for them? Were they like upset that they were getting torn down and tried to like disperse people throughout the city?
I mean, I can't imagine that anyone wants to be forcibly moved from the place they live.
Unless the next place is more optimal?
Which was not probably something that was happening for a majority of the Cabrini Green residents. I think, you know, that's going to be something that's different for different people. Like the people who are like just trying to get by and live their life and not,
have families
not
and kids.
have crime happen at their face all day probably don't mind getting out of that neighborhood, because that was terribly crime-ridden neighborhood, like infamously so, one of the most crime-ridden neighborhoods in the United States in the 1980s. For the people who are involved in doing the crime, and that's sort of their, like, they've become gangbangers and like that's where they live. Like for them, it would probably be very upsetting to have to move and like lose those social ties. So I guess it depends on the person.
Yeah.
But I think at a minimum, nobody likes to have their home bulldozed by the government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it was subsidized housing, right? And like
Yes.
provided by the government in order for, because it's expensive to live in an urban city
Yeah.
like that. So that, you know, that was a way for those who wanted to work in the city but couldn't afford to necessarily live there.
Right.
Like to give them access to higher paying jobs.
And then now if you move somebody, again, I'm oversimplifying a very complex problem, but now you move somebody then to a place that's further away from their job. Now they have to worry about transportation. They have to worry about school.
Oh, yeah.
They have to worry
Oh,
about
these are all real things.
all the complexities. So it seems like maybe just upgrading Cabrini Greens maybe was
I
an
mean,
option.
the problem with Cabrini,
Try it again.
the problem with Cabrini Green is that it was from a very early stage in its lifespan underfunded and underpoliced, and it just became this kind of anarchic, crime-ridden hellhole, which the people who lived there did not want to live in, because why
Yeah.
would you want to live in a crime-ridden hellhole? But then the issue is, well, how do you solve that in a way that is not just kind of raising it and starting over and disrupting many people's lives horribly? And the city basically said, I guess you can't. And they raised it and disrupted people's lives horribly.
Had they moved them into those townhomes that I passed
I know,
by.
right?
See? There
There
were
you go.
alternatives.
You got to get into government, care.
I know.
You solve all the world's
I
problems.
sometimes I feel like I have all the answers.
It does seem, it's strange that the government isn't good at making good decisions.
Yeah.
The government should just be better.
That seems odd. But anyway, that was my number one. Candyman
Yeah,
very
can
clearly
I ask,
set in Chicago.
Like, definitely shot at.
Shot so much in Chicago. Opening shots.
Yeah.
Gorgeous, gorgeous aerials of the Eisenhower, I think. One of the highways, the one that goes past you, Chicago.
And that's actually Cabrini Green.
Yeah,
on the
it's
screen.
set in when
Yeah.
it goes to Cabrini Green. It's in Cabrini Green.
yeah, I was
near North
there.
Side.
Like I remember because that's where I looked up and I was like, "Gosh, I've been there." And then it was like, "Ooh, this is a little rough in the movie."
I gotta believe, and I didn't. I should have looked. The interiors, though, like where they're.
I didn't go
like,
inside.
I don't think.
Well, obviously,
that
I mean,
can't
to a certain extent, they have to be studio sets because they
Yeah.
are not built. They are fanciful.
but wonderful sets.
but
Like,
they make the
grit-
inside
gritty.
in that
Yeah,
movie
that's what I'm
not
saying.
feel ideal.
Oh, when she passes through the
The mural.
mural.
Gosh, and what if they're
the
like,
mouth goes in the mouth?
I know, it's good.
Oh,
my
shit.
gosh.
gosh.
We have a copy of Candyman. Thanks
have-
to you.
you have my copy.
That I
He-
have.
He wants it
At some
back,
point
so we
I'd
got to
like
watch
that
it. So that's my number 5.
Well, obviously a good pick.
Thanks. I feel
on,
good about
on
my
all of our
list.
lists. Yeah, Tim, number 5 to you.
I just want to quickly mention a couple films I was not able to catch up with before doing this list, one of which I'm sure would have been on my top 5, literally no doubt at all, and that's the 1994 documentary Hoop Dreams, very, very beloved, famous 3-hour study of high school students trying to like get out of their situation through sports, directed by Steve James. Great Chicago documentarian. He also made a film called The Interrupters. That's one of the best documentaries I've seen about the city of Chicago. I've never seen it. I need to see it. I own it. Honestly, would have been a candidate for my shame list a couple weeks back. But, at a certain point, 3 hours is not something I have time for ever. So I just haven't gotten there. The other film I wanted to catch up with but haven't is Call Northside 777, a Jimmy Stewart vehicle from 1948. And Rob, you said, am I going to have any films from the 30s? No, because Call Northside 777 was the first Hollywood film shot in Chicago in 1948. Don't think it's probably very good. It doesn't have a very good reputation. But if I wanted to do this list properly, I feel like I should have seen it. But I didn't. So instead, what I did have on my list, in my number 5 spot, is a film that presents a sort of caricature of Chicago. And I think a lot of movies present a caricature of Chicago, because I think the actual geography of the city, the actual like places of the city, don't tend to show up in movies maybe so much, maybe documentaries, maybe smaller indie films. But in terms of sort of taking, what do we think of when we think of Chicago, like the city and all of its kind of pop cultural glory? We think of buildings, we think of sculptures, we think of music. I mean, it's a very important city for music and culture. And I think the movie that does a really, really great job of sort of bringing all these things together in this kind of big, over the top comic extravaganza that's just in love with the city's like sort of visual elements and the blues music performed in this city. 1980s, The Blues Brothers.
I've never seen it.
I've never processed it. It seemed it's just was a little silly whenever I would see
It's
it. So
very
I just
silly. It's a
never
silly
never
movie.
wanted to sit through it as a kid. I had more mature taste.
Are they spies?
They're blues musicians
Oh,
They
why
sing
are they
the
wearing
blues.
the?
because they're so cool.
Oh,
They're cool cats.
I see. So they're just trying to be visually cool.
No, I
It's
know-
not a part of their job.
I know Belushi's.
Their job is to be cool.
Belushi's from Chicago. Is
She's
Aykroyd?
from Chicago. Aykroyd's Canadian.
Canadian.
Are
Oh,
they
that's
both
right.
alive?
That's right. That's right.
Both of them are still alive.
No.
Oh, good God, no. Belushi's famously dead.
Jim Belushi
John
died.
Belushi, the
Yeah,
good Belushi is
You're
dead.
you're mixing up the Belushis.
Are they related though?
They're brothers.
Oh, okay. But are both of them in this movie?
No.
Just
John. Jim, I think... Jim didn't even get in the Blues Brothers 2000.
2000.
Is John Belushi also? Who is the
Animal
guy?
House.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
John.
Oh man, what did he pass away from?
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Oh,
drugs.
a drug situation. Gosh, trying to be way too cool. That's too bad. That's too bad.
He died in like 1983.
Oh,
Yeah. I imagine though, for what I have seen of it, it is a love letter to.
It's a love letter to the
Chicago.
city. You see the what you call it, the Picasso. You see Fulton Market. You see churches that are real Chicago churches. You see the weird roads that are sort of crisscrossing across like the South Loop area. It loves the city. It's dumb and goofy and very, very caricatured and like I said, but it's a fun time.
Is it lower on your list then, just because of?
I think Candyman's just a better film.
Better film. Okay, so that was the piece I wasn't sure. Like I tried to my best to rank based on like love letter to Chicago.
I mean, if I
ranking
was
up.
ranking by Chicago-ness, Blues Brothers would probably be higher on this list.
I from what I know about it, I take it to be a very Chicago
I
friendly
kind
film.
of thought maybe this would be on your list too. This feels
Just
Robbie.
doesn't. It's just it was a little too
It's
goofy
too silly for him.
for me to ever really sit down and watch it.
Okay.
But I don't know.
All right. Well, then give us your quality Chicago.
Well, my
number
quality
5.
Chicago, just starting off,
Baseline.
Baseline. I'm going to name a couple of locations that are present.
Okay.
The Hilton, Chicago downtown.
Home Alone.
That doesn't happen there.
That takes place in the suburbs.
One North, Dearborn. Little shot there. Daly Plaza, Picasso. Chicago City
I
Hall.
don't even know when you guys keep talking about Picasso. Is there a painting outside?
There's
What-
that big orange sculpture.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I've seen it.
Huh.
So those are the Cook County Hospital. How about Meigs Field? No longer present.
Is this a league of their own?
400 North Michigan Avenue, and then the Four Seasons in Chicago. I'm talking about 1993's The Fugitive.
Oh, that's on my list.
I figured it might be. Also shot, I should say, in North Carolina and a little bit in Tennessee, because there's those scenes where he's like, where I think he's running in the woods.
Yep.
There are no woods. In
You took my number
Chicago.
1.
It's your number 1.
Dillweed.
It's your most Chicago film.
Yeah, it's even more Chicago now that I hear you talk about it.
I don't know if it does a overt job like.
It's also my
not-
favorite.
It's
of my
probably
list.
one of my favorites on my list for sure. But it doesn't do as good of a job as a number of other ones on my list to like really showcase
I
Chicago.
thought about this one because it of course has many scenes shot in Chicago in a very like important way, and it has the thing about like what cities have an L, and like that's a major clue. But when I think of the scenes that like really feel like this movie to me, none of them are set in Chicago.
Yeah, could this have been shot anywhere else?
It could have,
Like,
but it wouldn't have been as
plot-wise,
good.
Like plot-wise, it doesn't necessitate it to be Chicago.
Oh, when he's like, Richard.
Oh, that needed to be
Yes,
Chicago.
people
Yeah.
named Richard only. I mean, my father is named Richard, and he's from the Chicago area, so that tracks.
It does. This movie's so good though. There's the
very
parade
good.
too, the St. Patrick's Day parade that takes place in there. Where is he when he comes out of that little sewer?
I
North
think
Carolina.
That's North Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what
exactly.
you know what we don't have in Illinois?
Large sewers.
We have sewers, but we don't have cliffs.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no
These
cliffs that you
sewers
jump off of.
emit into a beautiful waterfall that Harrison Ford can dive from.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I will say, you might both
Oh.
know this, but there was going to be like a whole big speech. Like they were going to like have this battle of wills, and Tommy Lee Jones and Harrison Ford sat down with the script and basically like, what do our characters say? Like if you focus on what are these two big monologues doing, it's saying, I didn't kill my wife, I don't care. And they took it to the director and said, can we just say these sentences? And the director's like, that sounds good.
And it's like
Yeah.
one
And
of the
it's
best
so good,
parts
so
of the
good.
movie. It's one of the best
100%.
parts of the movie.
Won Tommy Lee's Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
And then who plays the dude?
The one-armed man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh no, not the one-armed man.
Oh.
I think the one on man might be Andreas Katsoulis.
It is. It is. But who plays the
Jakar.
guy who actually hired the person to kill his wife? The other guy that gets up and does the
Yeah,
speech.
no, I know. That's at the Hilton Chicago.
Yeah.
But I don't remember the film well enough.
Oh, he's another doctor, fellow doctor. It's always the other doctor. This movie is just, when I was actually typing up my list, I was like, I want to watch this today.
Oh, it's a great movie. I love this movie, but it doesn't trigger Chicago for me.
And that's why, like, so you had a kind of ancillary list as well too, Tim. I did as well have a couple of Wicker Park came to mind.
Yeah.
Care, very Chicago-y and named
You know,
after.
Richard Daley makes an appearance in The Fugitive. Who
No,
was
I
the
did not know
mayor?
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
How can you get more
No.
Chicago than
Yeah,
that?
that's definitely very Chicago. But that was my number 5, followed by my number 4, Carrie, which you took. So I think we're on to your
My
your
number 4.
Steal another one.
It's all downhill from here. This isn't going to be on any of your lists, but it should be because it doesn't get really too much more Chicago-y than this, other than my top 1 through 3. But this one takes place primarily on the L, as Tim was talking about.
Oh,
This one,
yeah.
I don't get it.
Oh, okay. Then it's not the same movie.
Oh, you're talking about,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
On
it's
the
not
L.
that one. It's not
Yeah.
that one. Because aside from that,
What in Christ's name are you two doing?
Rebecca De Mornay
He's
and
thinking
Tom
Risky
and Tom
Business.
Cruise banging on the L.
yeah.
Don't they? In Risky Business?
Yeah, they do.
I've never seen Risky Business.
What? Oh, wow.
Wow.
That scene is not on my list. That scene for me was just
Very
like,
hot.
it was very, very steamy.
Yeah.
It's like, and they're kind of like coming in.
Also
like,
kind of gross when you think about how dirty
gross.
how
I
it sounds.
barely like putting my hands on the surface of the L. I would not want my wet vaginal membranes to
Oh,
touch any
gross.
part of the interior of those cars.
I don't think you have those.
If I did, I would want them to stay well clear
Oh, I see.
of the
I see.
doors, as they say.
Yeah, I don't remember her putting down any sort of like cloth
Like a
or
tarpaulin?
anything.
She
or
didn't do like
something, no.
the
Sandy
airplane
wipe.
Sandy wipe to
I've
wipe
been
it down
doing
the
that a
floor.
lot lately. But anyway, not that movie, but whew, now you got me thinking about that too. No, this gets even more romantic than that. A little less sexy, but still way, way more romantic, because there's nothing more romantic than falling into a coma, getting rescued by potentially the love of your life, but then the love of your life falls in love with your brother.
Is this insane that I never knew this was Chicago? I thought it was
totally
New York.
Chicago.
No, I knew from researching it. I thought New York.
No.
Yeah.
No, this is fairly quintessentially Chicago.
Okay, go ahead,
I
Karen.
should
Sure.
say.
This
And-
is 1995's While You Were Sleeping.
Yeah.
Everything
It has
about
a
it.
fairly good pot shot at Wisconsin people, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
How so?
I don't remember the joke, but I remember I was watching it for the first time after I moved to Madison, and very early on, they joke about like the sort of like unsophisticated rubes who live in Wisconsin rather than Illinois, and it's like, haha, I'm surrounded by these people. You're right.
And you're like, it's not untrue at all. But this one for me, the whole family dynamic here, I could see this movie happening to me. Like this was the kind of thing where I would fall into a trap of pretending to be somebody's lover because I had a crush on them. Like it could happen to you, kind of thing.
That's a
No,
different
you
movie.
go while you're sleeping.
Yeah, different movie.
I see what you did there. Because I also love that movie. But I love this, and I love Bill Pullman almost more than most people. Peter Gallagher plays the perfect like doof that she actually so falls in love with. But the grandparents in this do it for me too, because they fall in love with Sandra Bullock and her character and can't let her go when everything starts to crumble down at the end. But yeah, this for me is like right off the gate. I was like, oh, Chicago, While You Were Sleeping. It's got to be there.
I'm surprised it's not higher on your list, but I agree that it's funny. Like I actually think that although I didn't remember it was Chicago, like that it has more Chicago shots than The Fugitive, even though you had it at number 1.
Yeah, I'm questioning my order a bit right now.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right.
Number 3 for you, Tim. Give me the iconic Chicago.
This is number 3 for me, isn't it? Yes, we're jumping down. So my number 3, not the best Chicago filmmaker by any means at all, but maybe the Chicago filmmaker who's the most like important for having gotten Chicago and its suburbs pinned down as a place where we can make movies. And I am, of course, referring to John Hughes.
Yes.
Okay.
I think all of his movies as a director were shot in the city and the surrounding suburbs, mostly set in a fictitious suburb called Shermer, which was named for one of the founding families of Northbrook, if I recall correctly, the Shermer family. This is not one of his, it is a film that ultimately takes place in the suburbs because they all do, but it's the one that speaks to me the most as a kid from suburban Chicago for whom going into the city was the big
It's an event.
adventuresome thing you would do on your day off.
Sure.
1986, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Wow, we were just taking each other's number ones.
Kid
left and
just,
right.
yep.
That's your number one?
If there's a movie that is a love letter to Chicago, to
I
me,
don't even remember Chicago
there's a
being in that
parade.
movie.
What are you even saying?
I
go to a
thought about
Cubs
it.
game?
They do.
Yes.
Like 3/4 of the movie takes place in
I'll tell you what I remember about that movie. He's in bed. He comes up with a scam so that he doesn't have to go to school. And then I thought he just hangs out in his backyard most of the time.
He extremely does not.
Wow.
Really?
He like commandeers a parade.
He just, wow.
Like
I
Down
believe we
Michigan
also see the
Avenue.
Picasso
Yeah.
again in this movie.
Yes.
I don't
They go
remember
to
any
the-
of
they
it.
go to a museum.
They
an
go
art
to a museum.
Yeah.
They go to a fancy restaurant. Actually, when you were starting with a hotel for your last one, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
is it Ferris Bueller? Because
Right.
I
Yeah,
like they crash a hotel for a fancy luncheon. It's the day off is that he's taking his friends to Chicago to just goof around in this big, beautiful, wonderful city that's bigger than their little suburban teenage lives up there in and what is not called Highland Park, but I know is Highland Park because I have seen the house many times that they back a car out of down
So
the ravine.
that was the only one that was questionable. So that's
Highland Park.
That is a place. It
Yeah.
just looks so wooded and elevated where I wouldn't.
there
have
there
guessed
are
that.
woods
Yeah.
in Illinois.
Yeah, it didn't feel like
No, the nor-
Cameron's car, like
the North
Cameron's
Shore,
location.
the North Shore of Chicago, Wilmette, Evanston, Highland Park, Northbrook. The bluffs leading to Lake Michigan are very, very steep, and they're full of ravines. Actually, Ravinia, the famous
Sure.
North Shore musical festival, is set like it's kind of nestled into a ravine in Highland Park.
Yeah, it could have been called
And my
Ferris.
grandmother's, my grandfather and grandmother were from Highland Park, so.
Could have been very well called Ferris Bueller's Day Off in Chicago. Like that's what it is. How do you not get the Chicago?
Did he get into any sort of trouble while he was there?
Much of it.
Lots of trouble.
He was on the
Lots of trouble.
news.
Oh, really?
It was a act of God that the wicked principal did not see him on the news camera.
Cars
I'm
were
wondering
stolen.
if I haven't seen this. I feel like I remember him coming up with that really good prank. Did he put like a little bit of a body double under his
He did.
blankets? So
I
that
think
his
you
sister-
watched the first 12 minutes of Ferris Bueller and turned it off.
I think that
Save
could
Ferris?
be.
Like
I
there's
think that could be
there's
true.
a band that's been named after the campaign to make Ferris feel better because people thought he was dying.
Wow, this is a
campaign.
more complex plot than I realized.
It's
I
not
think.
terribly complicated at all. Actually, it's just messy, but I love it. It's a good movie.
I can't. That was your number one.
That was my number one because I think it again Cubs. You've got Michigan Avenue. You've got it just represents Chicago.
Yeah,
It's a
that
love
makes
letter
it
to Chicago.
Chicago-y. Yeah.
I didn't even know about the Highland Park piece, and now it's even more so.
Oh,
to
yeah.
me.
John Hughes movies were all, I think, literally all shot in the suburbs. I
Yeah,
don't
because
think
he
any of
did
the
When
stuff-
Harry Met Sally, right? No, of course not. That would
and
be
that's
a terrible
also
idea.
New York.
Oh, really?
Well, the opening scene is at U Chicago.
Here's another
Or
thing.
is it U by Chicago? I
Did
think it's U
John
Chicago.
Hughes do Sleepless in Seattle?
No.
Also,
Nora
no.
Ephron.
Although that was the screenwriter of When Harry Met Sally.
Maybe that's the connection.
John Hughes did Home Alone, Breakfast Club,
Breakfast Club,
16
Sweet 16
Candles,
Sweet 16, yeah.
Weird Science.
Sleepless in Seattle is also filmed in Chicago,
Yes, it is.
which you wouldn't know
But it's
by
also
the
filmed in
title.
Seattle.
I did not
Oh.
know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Sleepless in Seattle and Impotent in Chicago or whatever. I don't remember what
I
they
don't
call
think
it.
that's part. I don't think that's what they say at all. I don't think they've ever said that. But
But it's like it's a cute name. It's Sleepless in Seattle is Tom Hanks and
Right, Meg's
and Meg
someone
Ryan
else.
is
Okay.
someone in Chicago.
lonely in Chicago.
But I think it begins with a C sound again.
Oh, you're right.
Cunt
She
in
does-
Chicago.
What?
You just went right there.
Wow.
Just went
I was
right
just trying
there.
to.
That was
I
like,
with the
I was
words.
going to go there, but I decided I go there a lot. I'm not going to go there this
You
time. So
are-
thank you, Rob. I feel fulfilled.
I feel not. That's one more tick on my rage calendar.
Well, prepare to be unraged.
Okay.
with
But
my
I was going to
number
go with
three.
cock hungry in
Okay,
Chicago.
all right,
so
move
so yours
along.
is somehow still worse than that.
My number 3 care is going to be on your list unless you've just blatantly forgot about it because nothing is more Chicago than scaling that kind of one
Yep.
that looks like a milk carton.
Yep,
Like you
the
know what I'm
milk
talking about?
carton.
The milk carton with the
It's
diamond
not really
shape.
It's the diamond shape.
It's a diamond shape.
I have worked in that building.
What building is that?
It's some build. I think it's named for. It's like this. The name of the building is the
Okay.
street address.
But you were talking about like nothing more fun than like taking a day trip or a trip into Chicago. This is a night adventure into Chicago from the suburbs. And I also thought about how cool it would be when I watched this as a kid.
I hate you.
Oh, is this your like your number 2?
well, number one, it's my number two.
Yeah.
Number two, this was going to be my cool one that
Oh,
you
this
guys
is a
all
cool
forgot
one.
about, and now
Yeah.
you've just taken it. I didn't think
Well,
you'd
why
think
don't
of this.
you go ahead.
No, you do it.
No, it's all right.
fine.
1987's Adventures in Babysitting. So we were talking about connections with John Hughes. This is Chris Columbus directed film, and Chris Columbus later came back and did Home Alone, which is a John Hughes film. So the Chicago connections remain. But yeah, it's following Elizabeth Shue, put in charge of babysitting, finds out her boyfriend potentially is
Mike
having...
Toddwell.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Is that from Father of the Bride? Is that who the guy is? No, that's the guy that she meets at the restaurant.
Yes.
Yes.
But he stands her up.
Yes. Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tell us more about this movie.
So
that you love so much.
she's nervous that her boyfriend might be cheating, or I forget what it is, but she feels compelled to take her all of the folks underneath her, like that she's in charge of,
that she's babysitting.
that she's charged with. Yes, is that she's babysitting. Yes, I was trying to find a clever way to say it. Takes them all on an adventure to Chicago. It's no big deal. They'll be right back, including her friend who can't see.
Carrie, I really like that.
Do we see Union Station too? Because isn't the friend
Yes.
who can't
When
see
you
very
go to
well?
the bus station. I don't know if it's Union Station. You go to the bus station. 'Cause
It's either
Brenda,
Ogilvy or the friend is there.
her friend Brenda.
It would have been Union. No one would be like, ooh. Oh. First off, I
Yeah.
don't know that Ogilvy
Ogilvy,
existed
yeah.
in '87.
I don't think it
was
did.
built
and
in
it
the
doesn't
90s.
it doesn't come off the.
But she's
the
wherever
tongue
the
very
bus
well.
station
Yeah.
is in downtown Chicago. Brenda, that can't
Okay.
see very well and loses her glasses. Yes. Carry on.
And it goes. Misadventures happen. There's like gambling. There's like stolen something.
Oh my gosh, Rob.
Go ahead. There's a toe that's shot
This-
potentially.
This explanation is terrible.
Yeah, this is
I feel
like a Carrie
This is like a
explanation.
Carrie explanation.
It's been a while since I've seen this
It
movie.
feels like we've all twisted over. Like Carrie's me, you're Carrie,
Yes.
and I guess I'm you.
And I become mean and
So hey
cruel.
guys, you know what's good? Our shitty comic book movies and films that are on the IMDb top 10.
Have you ever seen Shawshank Redemption or Inception? It's really good.
Inception is good.
So Brenda tells them to come down and save her. She's like, oh shoot, what am I going to do? Like I've got these kids
Oh,
that I'm
it's the
babysitting. It's the friend that
that needs
calls.
the help.
But then the adventure to actually get there to save her is where everything starts to fall apart. And remember the truck driver that's in there?
Sure. I
And
remember
one.
famous actor.
Yeah, Anthony Rapp.
Liv Ullmann.
No, it's not Anthony. Anthony Rapp is the friend.
I know it
the
is.
The truck driver is famous.
He's the guy with the beard.
No, he doesn't have a beard.
You think about it while I
Vincent
talk.
D'Onofrio just came to me.
Is it?
It's Vincent D'Onofrio who
I
plays
never
Thor.
knew
the
that.
The young girl is obsessed with Thor. She
Yes.
thinks that he looks like Thor because
Yes.
he's wearing a blonde wig.
Yes.
Vincent D'Onofrio isn't. Vincent D'Onofrio's looking pretty
Vincent D'Onofrio is probably like
good
20
looking.
something in this.
Yeah, he's looking very good.
Interesting.
It's Vincent
I
D'Onofrio.
don't remember that. I'm going to look that up a little bit later. But I had a little bit of a crush on the guy that she's babysitting who's older. So she's babysitting. One of
older
the guys
brother.
is cute, the older brother. He's
sure.
pretty cute. So I had a crush on him as a kid. Then they go off on these adventures, but then they end up like getting chased in this adventure. They end up getting chased, and then they end up, like you said, scaling the Prudential Building. I think it's the Prudential Building.
Sure.
Down, which I also have.
The Prudential Building is
worked
not
in.
the diamond-shaped one.
Well,
though.
there
I
you
think
go.
it is.
No, the Prudential Building is the big white pillar-shaped one.
There's so many facts that we're just.
We're going to get a lot
We're
of.
going to do a
Continue
fact
talking.
check after
Continue
this,
talking.
especially because most of our listeners are from Chicago. We're doing a terrible job here. So you continue talking, but this to me is a movie that I cannot wait to share with the kids.
So you shared recently Now and Then with them.
Yeah.
Is it too soon to share adventures? I remember
know.
a lot of swears.
Are there? There were a lot of swears in Now and Then.
Yeah.
A little smoking too.
Yeah.
The kids were not happy about that.
Although we just saw Back to the Future 2, and that had some
That was also-
unexpected. And that was PG. I think this one is probably PG-13.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true. So thank you for
It is the
stealing my
Crane
joke.
Communication Building, previously known as the Smurfett Stone Building, previously known as the Stone Container Building. I believe that I knew it just to be called 150 North Michigan.
That's the other thing is a lot of buildings are just the address in Chicago. Like
Okay.
our building is just the name of the address. So I could see that.
I'll let it slide, but I'm going to do some more follow-up research
Well,
afterwards.
Since we've been stealing so many of ours, let's go ahead and take a break. But before we head to our break, you might be wondering about ways to support the show. Get exclusive
Though
content.
I cannot imagine
early
why you'd be
access.
wondering that after today's episode.
Pick your own episode topic, just like Chris did, and more from our Patreon site. A new member, Garth, who just picked up our "It's Nice to Be Nominated." Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Garth.
Garth.
I already mentioned Amateur Hour. We're going to be talking about my upcoming feature film, Hauntology. That was the first time I ever dropped the title. Yeah.
You dropped it plenty of times in our personal life.
Yes.
Rob's, oh yeah, you're right. That's not That is not.
See, it's just big white.
You're
white
right.
residential
You're right.
buildings, just
So I was
big and
wrong.
white.
I was wrong.
Big white
I don't even know
phallic
my own
symbol.
city.
And that's the other one. That's
You're
the
right.
prettier
All
picture.
right. Well, you're right. You're right.
And Carrie, you've been soliciting, trying to get folks to write
Well,
reviews.
Carrie, my lord,
Wait, what?
I've been soliciting.
Oh.
Yeah, you've been soliciting
can
our
we just-
audience
Can we just talk about that on the air like this?
I've been trying to, get funding for your movie.
and people have answered the call with reviews.
Yeah, so thank you. So just like Kay Stevens 1313 who said, I really enjoy listening. They give great reviews and are so funny. Thanks for influencing my choice in movies. So if you too can go out there and leave us just a rating, it's a lot of pressure to leave a review, but just a rating goes a long way and helps us out a bunch.
It's difficult to summarize like what you love about me in like a few words, so I get it. Also want to thank all of our listeners who support the show and make their Amazon purchases through our site. Doing it is easy. Just go to our website, alternateending.com, click on our Amazon banner, and seamlessly go about your purchases. All proceeds go to making our show better. Since our last episode, here were the things that were purchased. Little Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Love the dulce de leche flavor.
Oh, you know what that is? That's cream of milk.
Oh, very
The
nice.
milk.
Good translation.
Favorite
Yep.
kind, yes.
Books and textbooks. This is interesting. Buffy the Vampire Slayer High School is Hell Deluxe Edition. So I guess it's like a little bit of a lookbook. You've got a lot of the different shots and things from the television show in black and white print. So yeah, that's a nice little coffee table book of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Also had paper towel holders. That's nice to have.
Is it?
Gotta hold your paper towels.
You could just get a towel.
You could just get a towel, much like you could just get a canvas bag instead of plastic. But then you know what, Karen? It takes 20,000 uses in order to
You're
get
redirecting to a different product.
So here'd be my thing. Last night I made a pizza,
Yes.
frozen pizza. I put it in my oven on my pizza stone.
Was it a DiGiorno?
It was from Chicago's
Home
own Lou Malnati's.
Oh, Lou. A Lou.
Fancy,
fancy.
Where do you find a Lou's?
My parents keep me supplied.
Oh, very nice.
I know a guy. But so I cooked this pizza and I took it out and it was delicious looking and delicious smelling. And it had grease and wetness and just sort
Yes.
of juice. So I took a paper towel and I daubed that out. I sort of wicked the moisture off of it. I could not have done this with I could have done this with a cloth towel, but then I'm just like smashing a cloth towel up all in my tomato sauce and
Sure.
I've stained my cloth towel. So if I have a paper towel, I can pull out the moisture without ruining a towel.
Sounds
So-
like the right tool for the job.
It sounds like
Agreed.
you care about your physique more than you care about the environment. That's what I'm getting from that.
What makes you think that I care about my physique if I am eating a frozen pizza?
Because you're taking the time to daub the grease off. Just eat the grease
Well,
like a
I'm
human.
reducing a 1,700 calorie dinner to a 1,600 calorie dinner.
And killing the planet at the same time.
Yes, agreed. Well,
So-
I don't want the planet to outlive me. Because then as I'm dying, I'll wonder about all the things I'm going to miss.
Yeah.
Whereas if I know that everyone is shortly to die horribly,
No regrets.
No
I'll
regrets.
feel very good about
no
myself.
FOMO then.
Exactly. No
that's,
FOMO.
That's
No
fair.
FOMO.
That's fair.
Live like there's no FOMO. Or yes.
we need
Yes.
to stop saying FOMO.
FOMO. Kindle ebook.
We are all much too old.
Yes, we are. Kindle ebooks. Speaking of old Christianity in the 2nd century.
That is
It's
old.
pretty old.
That's pretty
Second
old.
century is
Really
pretty
old.
old.
Also on Kindle book, Clement and the Early Church of Rome. I don't know who that is. Who's Clement?
Pope
Oh,
Pope
Clement.
Pope Clement.
I just think of Jermaine Clement.
I know.
Yeah.
It's also about him.
If that's what makes you, if that's how you visualize it,
That's
then
what I'm
how you visualize it.
visualizing Jermaine Clement in Pope attire. Also Judaism, the genealogy of a modern notion. Also the Cambridge Companion of the Apostolic.
Apostolic.
Of course, fathers. The Apostolic Fathers,
Of course.
a new translation and commentary. And then Kitchen and Dining, Black & Decker, 12-cup programmable
I'm going to
coffee
be
maker.
almost as sad when our theology student graduates as when that dog dies, honestly.
Yep. No dog food recently. No
I'm
dog
actually,
food
what I'm going to
recently.
do is find out whose dog it is. And again, I think I know whose dog it is. And I'm going to mail them a new one.
Okay.
New dog?
A new dog.
Can you mail someone a dog?
Yes. Just so that we can see the dog
like in
food
an
continue
envelope?
to come through. Yes. You
Yeah,
can-
because
you can-
there's not a dog population problem, Tim. The earth is dying.
No, I'm not going to make a dog. I'm going to give an existing dog. I'm going to get a
Okay.
used dog
A used
and send it. That's my plan.
Use dog in the mail. Coming
Exactly.
from Carrie to our listener soon. We also, it's a fishing season, at least here in Wisconsin, starting to be. Someone's doing a little bit of fly fishing with a dry, wet nymph trout fly.
Oh,
You can
you've gone
dry or
fly
wet.
fishing
I've done it once.
with my dad.
It was a Father's Day excursion that we did with my two dads.
And then Rob found out that he hates fishing.
I knew before.
Oh, you did?
This was
Oh.
for them.
You were still wooing them at this
I was wooing
this
them.
stage.
There was
I
some
see.
wooing. Speaking of wooing, you were
I
trying
remember
to.
last time I had to woo two dads. You know what I mean?
I don't know
Got
actually
pretty
what that
wet
means.
myself. You know what I mean?
Wait, you really hooked up with two dads?
No,
Oh.
I'm doing a bit. It's doing a big old gay orgy bit.
I
Carrie.
could see you doing that
No,
though.
I'm not gonna have sex with two individuals simultaneously. It would be very stressful.
Is it because they're dads or because it's two people
two
simultaneously?
people simultaneously?
Oh, okay.
We had a.
You're aware that daddy is a like loaded word
Yes,
in
like
gay
Daddio.
sex
Think,
culture.
think Daddio more like that.
Daddio. I call you Daddio all the time.
Then
I
you
call
were-
my
you were
own
saying
dad
he
Daddio.
is a fatherly top. is
Wait,
what
hang
you're
on.
saying.
Wait, let's just pause.
Why do you
here
call me
for a minute.
Daddio?
I say, hey, Daddio.
What?
I say that all the time.
Are you confident that that's the case?
Yeah, I'm like, hey, where's Daddio?
Why would you be asking me?
No, to the kids. I'm
Well,
like,
I don't know
where's
what
Daddio?
you say. Weird things you say to the kids. Great. They're going to be so confused.
When I call my dad, I say, hey, Daddio, remind me what this
You
is.
don't do that though.
No, but it's cute. It's like a cute term. What am I saying?
I don't know what we're talking about.
Did you say
Daddio is beatnik slang.
Like the snaps?
Yeah.
Beatnik slang
Like the
for what?
For Daddio, for just like you're you know.
Hey there, Daddio.
you're a
Like,
cool guy.
cool person.
Right, but then you just said something about being on top.
Daddy, without the O, refers to the elderly partner in a gay relationship if there's a substantial age gap,
Sure.
and almost certainly the one who penetrates rather than is penetrated.
Oh, wait. So that's okay. Am I saying that to my dad when I say Daddio?
No, because the daddy O. First off, it's your dad, so you can call him daddy.
Okay.
Second off, the O removes it from the gay
slang,
subculture.
yeah.
So I think I'm fine.
I
You're
think
safe.
fine.
You're
You're,
safe.
you're not indicating to your father that you would like to have penetrative anal sex with him now.
Okay, that is what I was trying to get to. And just to be 100% clear, are you considered a daddy?
I have not taken that term onto myself, and it has not been given to me by others.
Now, if we
Okay.
can just get your
Okay.
dad to stop saying Chez instead of yeah,
dad
he says
calls-
Chez a lot
he calls-
to try to be funny.
Like macaroni and cheese.
No, like he'll be like, "Can I get a little?" No, it's
put
chizz.
put a little Chiz on there.
Ooh.
Let's do that.
Yeah, no, when your daddy's talking about chiz, you're definitely you're threading a needle that I don't think needs to be
Rob
threaded.
like can't handle it. He's like, whatever.
I usually have to step
my
away when
dad's
it
like,
happens. We just
"Oh."
don't serve cheese
My
anymore.
dad's like, "Can we get
Yeah.
a little chizz over here?"
It is. You're right. It is Chiz.
I
It's
say
not Chez.
yeah.
Get a little chiz on your face.
And
there.
I've always used the word chizz. I'm always like, yeah, I love chizz. And then Rob's like, you can't
what I've
say
heard.
that. And I'm like, why? It's like cheddar chizz.
Depends on what you've been eating.
I don't know. And Rob's like, you have to stop.
If it's yellow, you need to really see a urologist
Oh
like
my
yesterday, though.
We disagree. I still sometimes use the term, and I feel good about it. So
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I feel good about this next pick. It was. I'm curious.
All right, we're doing the Amazon read.
Yeah, it's still Amazon read time. I'm curious, Tim, because we did our top 5 movies we're ashamed of, and you were kind enough to put a movie on that was important to Carrie. I'm seeing it here in video on demand. I'm curious, did you rent or buy Now and Then?
Oh, I'm not going to pay for that shit. I'm going to torrent it.
Somebody did.
Someone did, Carrie.
And it
Thanks to your
warms
endorsement.
my heart. Sometimes when I just want to run away and never talk about movies ever again, then I see somebody purchases Now and Then, and my faith in humanity's restored.
You're saying that in the last 2 minutes, you've swung from this being your last episode to
Yes.
you feel good about continuing on
From
the show.
watching Now and Then.
My faith in humanity is restored with this Blu-ray pick on 4K RoboCop on 4K. I bet that looks good.
I've thought about that for a watch party.
RoboCop? Oh yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be a good watch
It's a
party.
good picture.
Instead,
So.
what are we watching? For those of us, for those
So
patrons,
sorry.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be doing a watch party of what's the poop movie called?
The Human Centipede.
Oh, the
Care.
Human Centipede.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
when we ran the ideas of movies to
Okay.
bring to the watch party, that was not one of them.
Carrie?
I added it.
Yeah.
Carrie?
Yeah.
Are you joking right now?
No,
Are you doing a bit?
I'm not.
Are you doing a bit?
I'm not.
Is voting still open?
No.
Are you confident voting's not still open?
There's still time for you and I to swing the vote, Tim, possibly. I have not voted
Is it
yet.
within 2? Is the vote within 2?
It's
it was
close.
close.
It's close.
I think-
Rob, you and I need
Yeah,
to
I need
agree
to-
on what we're voting for.
It's fun for the chat.
Yeah. Is it?
Is
Yeah.
it?
I don't know.
I don't know
It's
either.
a lot to sit through.
You think so? I thought it was kind of short.
It probably feels longer than it is,
Feels-
to be fair.
feels- Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can swing. Get out there and swing the vote before we look again, folks.
Yeah, okay.
As you listen to this, there's still time, but we are having a watch party on Friday, April 29th.
Maybe
Yeah.
we're having
Yeah,
a watch party.
Maybe we
Maybe
cancel
I
it.
am putting my foot down.
Yeah. Well, and when we get back, we'll finish up our discussion on our top 5 Chicago movies. And welcome back to Alternating. We're finishing up our discussion on top 5 Chicago movies. Carrie, you've been pilfered. Many picks have been stolen from you.
I know.
So all you are left with is
My last movie.
Which is
number 3.
Your number 3 pick.
My number 3.
Yeah.
And this is one I'm going to stand by pretty confidently, if I have to say so myself. This is one where there's just all kinds of chaos that breaks out in Chicago. And people come together. There's some explosions that are also happening in Chicago. Lots and lots of car races, bank heists, all kinds of things that happen in the buildings that exist within the Chicago area and specific to Chicago. No suburbs, no perusing Oak Park. It's just hardcore Chicago.
Including, if I'm not mistaken, a trip to the Hong Kong financial district of Chicago.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's one of the greatest psychological
Chicago
tests
stories
of all time of Chicago.
Set in Lake Michigan.
Exactly.
That whole sequence takes place in what is clearly and unambiguously Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
You know what? 100%. And this is 2008's The Dark Knight.
Which you still haven't really seen.
I've seen it.
We went to a theater to see. Did we see it? Did you see it later? Carrie, this was like our first date.
It wasn't a date. It
Sure.
was a friend situation. We were just friends, but
She wanted to hold my hand.
I did not want to hold your hand.
A lot of pressure.
We didn't hold hands.
I know, but you wanted to. The
I
whole
did not
movie.
want to
That's
hold
why I
your
couldn't
hand.
focus on the movie.
I did not want to hold your hand in any sort of way, but I did unfortunately wear a dress that for whatever reason was a normal length when you would stand up. It was fine. There was no reveal. But whenever you would sit down, it was just deep exposure. So I remember spending most of the movie being very concerned with pulling down my skirt just so that it...
Yeah, anything above the knee for Carrie is just like risque.
It was at least 4 to 5 inches above the knee once sitting. I know. So I didn't want to send any vibes,
Scandalous.
is what I'm saying.
Speaking of Daddio,
So instead, you just kept putting your hands on your thighs and rubbing.
I did.
didn't
the
you wear
whole
your
movie.
dad's sunglasses too?
Did I?
Yeah, to there. Like I remember vividly thinking, like, what? Whose sunglasses?
How
is
have I been in relationships
I don't
in my
know.
life?
Yeah.
I don't know who.
Was it just an
would
act
wanna
of
date
sheer
me.
pity? Is
Yeah.
that why
Was it a
happened?
pity
I took
thing?
a lot of pity.
My dad wears like glaucoma glasses. I was wearing
It was like
glaucoma
blue
glasses.
blockers. Yeah.
You're right. I was wearing some glaucoma glasses that day. Now that I
Blockers are
think
good
about
sunglasses.
it, no,
They
they were
block-
really
they
good
block out all the blue.
coverage. Yeah. Gosh, I'm sexy.
Wearing a
Wearing your
brown
blue blockers.
dress and dad's
Brown
Ripping at your dress.
I
chizz
still
glasses.
have that dress. I still have that dress. You know what's really gross is if it were my dad. Sometimes my dad like uses those sunglasses for weird things. So.
Oh, I'm familiar with your dad now and some of his habits.
What,
yeah.
what does your father do with his
It's
sunglasses?
like if his
Carrie?
ear, like inner ear is itchy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
But
can live
that's
with
kind
that.
of gross if I'm borrowing them because I could
Yeah.
have like earwax on.
You could.
I don't know what
It's
to
not the
say
grossest thing they could have been had.
That's true.
regarding
That's
The Dark Knight. Like again, like
100%
I don't think it's
Chicago.
a love. Sure, it's shot in Chicago.
It is a movie that captures the geography of Chicago better than several of the movies we've already talked about, to be fair.
Yeah.
It just does so in the context of being a Batman movie set in Gotham.
It does so as a hey, let's get that Chicago tax credit, and
Are they
that's
doing
about
it under the facade? So I can't remember. It has been like 15 years. So do they change the facades of buildings or is it clear that it's like, oh no, I'm
Rather
in the-
not, actually. In fact, there are very clear lyric opera of Chicago banners visible in The Dark Knight. So why
just
Gotham
affirms the
City
pick even more.
is advertising lyric opera of Chicago. hard to say.
I credit to The Batman, which just came out, is like they did a really nice job creating their own feel.
Gotham
using-
is sort of a combination of
Yeah.
New York and
Is it Edinburgh? Is that where they shot? I thought
have
for
no
The
idea where-
Batman.
I have no idea where it
Okay,
shot.
it just looks like unlike any other unique. It's just unique. So rather than using New York or Chicago as typically Gotham is used, like that one was really nice.
or Philadelphia. Was it Philadelphia or Pittsburgh?
Oh,
Philly,
sure,
I
sure,
think,
sure.
for the
Man, I
third
was
one.
planning for some heat on this one. I'm glad I flew
I-
under the
I
radar.
already gave you the heat.
All right.
And I started off by saying, what sort of weirdo would put The Dark Knight on this list? I will say this. Batman Begins makes Chicago look like Gotham. Dark Knight makes Chicago look like Chicago. I get it. even
Yes.
if it's wrong.
First thing I thought of.
Better
was
than
this
Transformers.
And ethically.
Thank you for not
Except
having.
that Transformers takes place in Chicago.
That's true.
Movie. But I would have
That's
chosen
true.
this over Transformers, even
'Cause
though
nobody likes it.
Because it's bad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's bad, but it's actually the best Transformers sequel, but it's still bad.
Fair enough. And Tim, so you somehow remain somewhat unscathed with 2 picks left, right?
It's because your asses haven't seen the Blues Brothers somehow.
That's true. So you've got Blues Brothers and Blues Brothers 2000.
Of course. No. So my number 2 takes us to 1981, the first theatrical feature of a filmmaker who I think we generally would associate with Los Angeles, although he's actually from the Midwest. He is, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, an alumnus of UW-Madison's film program, a certain Michael Mann. And this film would be his wonderful, wonderful heist drama psychological thriller Thief, starring James Caan as a safecracker, who is
You've seen this?
No, I saw it on people's lists. I've never seen this movie.
who's it's pulled into to do a job, and it's just one of those movies that, like, again, I don't think Michael Mann's a Chicago boy. I don't know where he's from specifically, but it's a movie that is set in the parts of Chicago that you don't know are there, but they're like just part of the fabric of the city, like car lots and like rotten, falling down like strip malls and such. And even though it was shot and released, shot in 80, released in 1981, I first saw it in, probably 2017, 2018, around the time Public Enemies came out. So whenever that was. So 2007, 2008, not 2017, sorry. But probably the movie that, of all the Chicago set movies I've ever seen, most feels like the places I would see as I was walking around.
Oh, okay.
Just like the sort of textures, the sort of decaying, not exactly Rust Belt city, but sort of adjacent to Rust Belt, like that sort of feeling that you do get from Chicago. And it's a great movie on top of it. Just a really exciting heist picture, really great performance by James Caan.
Sounds good. I love James Caan.
Phenomenal musical score. Really great movie.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd like Michael Mann, but I think it's definitely a good movie to see with your dad.
I think
we're just on your dad.
Thief
but yeah.
to me is the most watchable Michael Mann. It's my favorite Michael Mann.
Oh, okay, more than Heat.
I don't love Heat.
Okay,
Heat is not actually very high on my Michael Mann ranking, but Thief is I think I would recommend Thief.
is it better than Black Hat?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I also think Black Hat is better than Heat, for the record.
Oh my gosh, I could
I
not.
like Black Hat quite a lot.
All right. Well, I'll give Heat a try, or I'll give Thief a try.
Thief.
All right. That sounds good. All right. So is it to your last one, Rob?
We're left with my number 2, and I had miscalculated, so I had to leave off one, and that was all just to show my cards. I did have the breakup on here, but
Is it just
I
from
added
the butt
6.
scene?
No, like it's a very much
It's
a Chicago film.
There's a very pivotal scene set at it's Wrigley, right?
Yeah,
Like
Wrigley.
baseball.
Yeah, like
Only
opening.
thing I remember is Jennifer Aniston's butt.
Is a good butt.
I think it's a double.
No, don't say that.
No, she's just got one, just a normal number.
No, just
I instead went with another Chicago native, the actor John Cusack, who's from
Okay.
Chicago.
give us
Sure
more.
is.
Give us
And
more.
yeah, this is his
I've
love
been in her father's house in Evanston,
Is it
in
nice?
her father's house.
the Cusack's
Oh.
father's house.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
He's since passed away, but Dick Cusack, I've been to his home.
Okay.
How did you get into Dick Cusack's house?
Jimmy the Lock.
Oh, that seems like something you would do.
No, it was.
Is it a tour?
He was a member of a church that a family member attended, and it was just sort of a meet and greet thing.
Cool.
This is a film, Care, that you have not seen, and I think it's been on your How Have You Never Seen list because I think you would really like it.
Oh, I know
it's
what
been
it is.
since made into a television show, but originally based on a book. I think it's High Fidelity. Is that right?
I
Is that
could
based
tell
on
you
a book?
nothing about
Based
this
on a
movie.
book.
Yeah, and it's about a record store owner in Chicago, John Cusack, who is a big music lover. Him and his girlfriend break up, so then he starts romanticizing and thinking back to his I'm not really hurt by this recent breakup because she doesn't even make my top 5 of broken hearts. And then the movie is essentially
Maybe she wore glaucoma glasses.
maybe she did him going back through his top 5 and trying to justify to himself that hey, this isn't even the worst this isn't the lowest of my low points, and kind of he goes back through those, but so many scenes
I think I would like this movie.
you would really like this. I don't know if it's his the whole listing of people is appropriate anymore in today's world, but it's a
Oh, you
fun
mean
ride.
rating
I think
partners?
part of the argument of the film is that it's not really appropriate when he's doing it.
Yeah, he's an asshole. I
Wait,
think it's
not appropriate to rank his past
He's
relationships.
just a jerk. Yeah.
I think the film's idea would be that living your whole life through quantified lists is shallow and trivializes the experiences you've had as a person.
Oh, okay.
But it's very much like a cinephile type movie too, because this is what we do, right? We make
Right.
lists and
We
we
make lists.
like we try to like say this is better.
That's why I
than
don't
the
like
other
this
thing.
movie. I think list making is a noble moral pursuit. I rank all of the people I know.
yeah,
I have a
same.
top 3 of my podcast buddies.
I
list,
know.
In fact,
I know, and I
You
know
won't
that
believe
I'm
who's number one.
No, I know it's me. I for sure know it's me.
Carrie, yeah, you have your spit rankings or whatever, right? Like
Spit
like where
rankings?
like you'd be comfortable like
Oh,
having someone eat
like that I would use their
food.
toothbrush
You'd
or
use their toothbrush, right.
yes, so that's different though. Like as an example, Rob, I currently have you at number 3 from romantic partners. Both of you
Solid.
are not in my spit list.
there is no human being whose toothbrush I would share.
I have a couple. I have a girl from
I
college.
have not one person.
No, and definitely no one in my family. Alice, maybe. Sometimes not.
Well, sometimes you can't help it. She just spits on you. You don't really have a choice.
You don't have a choice, yeah.
It's involuntary.
Yeah, no, I do have only about 5 people though that I would drink their spit.
Only.
Yeah. But Rob, I check all those boxes. Rob would drink my spit. Remember the time you ate a booger of mine?
I regret that. It
Oh,
was
did you?
I regret that insofar as it led to a story that I then heard some years later.
what I hate most about that choice was that like it wasn't a crispy one. It was a little bit on the
No, it was crispy.
No, you didn't
No,
give
I
me a
remember.
crispy one. You did not give me a crispy one.
It was for sure.
I feel a little sick
It was
thinking
very-
back to it.
for sure crispy.
Things are coming up.
We were sitting in
Yeah.
we were sitting in this castle in a little
Stop talking.
stairwell.
Stop
And Rob
talking.
ate my booger.
Stop talking.
I don't know if the location improves
It doesn't
the
matter.
situation.
Make a difference. It does not make a difference.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is
Nothing is interesting. Everything is bad.
the director Stephen Frears worked with John Cusack back in 1990 as well too on The Grifters, which I didn't really care for The Grifters.
I've never seen The Grifters.
Yeah,
I
not
need to
very
see
good.
The Grifters.
Not very good. But yeah,
Best director nominee.
was it
Yes.
The Grifters?
Grifters, best director nominee.
Oh, I didn't care for it. Okay, anyway, High Fidelity Care, a movie you should see.
I will.
Get to your list making and stop your
And
movie
you've taken
picking.
them all. That's me. I think
That's
it's
it
back
for
to
you.
Tim.
Oh, yeah,
for
back
a
to
final
Me,
movie.
all that's left is my number 1, my number Mickey 1, because that is the film's title.
I've heard people talk about
Mickey
this.
1, 1965 film, directed by Arthur Penn, stars Warren Beatty. This is Arthur Penn's film directly before Bonnie and Clyde, which is sort of heralded as the film that brings French New Wave style filmmaking to the United States, leads to the new Hollywood cinema of the late 60s and the 70s. But I say, Mickey 1 is actually where Arthur Penn begins to bring in what he's been seeing in this very exciting new form of European crime thriller, but also these crime thrillers are very psychological and they're very much about film form and they're very much about like just testing and seeing what we can do that isn't just telling normal stories. So Mickey 1 is a story about a stand-up comic who flees to Chicago because he's trying to stay one step ahead of the Detroit mob. And so the Detroit mob comes to Chicago trying to find him. And he, of course, spends the whole time being petrified that everyone he meets might be a mob enforcer or might be someone who's going to sell him out to the mob. So it's this very paranoid crime thriller where he's just like tearing ass through the city of Chicago, which is being staged in this very sort of expressionistic, psychologically real, but very sort of hazy and you can't always tell what's going on sort of way. A really exciting movie. I've seen it once on film years ago. Haven't had a chance to see it again since, but I loved it. It was a completely life-changing experience, not least because it is shot in Chicago in 1965. And it's a film that is very invested in, here's this place Hollywood cameras do not typically go. Let's just look at it. Let's just like soak in the city. Like there's a city block that's really cool. There's a huge building. Let's look at that. And it's just this amazing collection of like photographs of the city throughout its entire running time. And like in front of these photographs occurs this thriller where Warren Beatty is terrified of the mob. And it's a great movie. I might even have been released in some proper way by this point. I'm not sure. But I've only had the one opportunity to see it, but I loved this film.
You know what's
so
sad?
much.
Like as we go through this list too, is like Chicago is very photographic, and it's too.
It's
bad.
a much. This is my hot take. It is a much more beautiful city than New York, and it's not even close.
And that's the thing is when we look at the list, like it's like it doesn't get its great. We have some good movies on our list, but like not as many as you would think, you know. And like I get why people shoot in Hollywood and like nice weather and stuff like that. But like, yeah, there's some iconic and like really nice looking things here.
I am ecstatic to report that there is a Blu-ray of Mickey 1 available. Actually, no, I take that back. There's a DVD. The Blu-ray is out of print. But, oh no, there is a Blu-ray.
Is there a Criterion Blu-ray?
It appears to be not, it's a British Blu-ray. That's why I didn't know it existed. I see. It is, however, available to rent on Amazon.
Okay.
I'm going to blow your minds.
Do it.
All right.
Prepare yourself.
You've seen Mickey 1.
Warren Beatty. Okay?
Okay.
Yep.
What if I told you he's married to Annette Bening?
Yeah, everybody knows that.
But what if I also told you that his sister is Shirley MacLaine?
Yep.
Okay, that I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
And that his dad is Ira Owens Beatty.
I did not know that.
I don't know
So
who that is.
got me
and
there.
Don't care.
I'm
Yeah.
shocked. Who knew? What a famous family.
I didn't know the McLean Beatty
Oh, yeah.
brother-sister situation. Huh.
Jeez.
Wait, did they present together at the Oscars? No.
I think they might
was that
have.
the
I
was
think
that
they
the
may have.
Moonlight debacle?
The Moonlight debacle was him and Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Wow, who knew it? And Annette Bening, what a snag.
Yeah,
Gosh.
he looked out there. Yeah,
He looked
for
out,
sure.
although, again, let's move on, but I'm looking at some old photos of him and
He was always a handsome
Little-
guy.
Yeah.
triple click
So-
for,
sort of-
for that.
Sort of notoriously and famously one of the most beautiful men in the history of Hollywood. Yes.
Gosh, yeah.
Well, I thought we had some solid picks. Let's check in with our audience. Every week we ask you to submit your picks for our top 5. Based on those submissions, here are the top 5 films in Chicago. We had a 4-way tie at number 5. A few that have been mentioned here, one that has not. Hoop Dreams.
Oh,
You know, when you talk about documentaries, like that one is the quintessential
Tim
documentary.
brought that one up,
yeah,
but we
he
didn't
did.
do it. Yeah.
Blues Brothers, Care, one that you and I have not caught up with. The Dark Knight, Care. That was
See?
mentioned. Widows, not mentioned.
I thought about
Nice,
Widows,
yeah.
but I didn't like it.
I don't know if it's it certainly takes place in Chicago, but I don't know if it's like trying
Screams
to
Chicago.
It doesn't scream Chicago to me.
Honestly, same here. And I even praised one particular shot for screaming Chicago to me, but the film as a whole, I don't know if it does.
Yeah. Number 4, Thief.
Eh?
Number 3, which I think is actually low. This would have been my predicted number 1, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's what
feel
I
like
it's what I
Tim
think
just
of.
copied off of everybody. I think that's what happened here.
Mhm. I also had Ferris Bueller's Day
Oh, yeah,
Off.
that's
like
right.
to say that. Like to say that. Number 2, The Fugitive.
Oh, there
and,
it is.
And the number 1 movie when people think film in Chicago, they think Candyman.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is interesting. Our winner this week was Chris Baker, who said, "The Fugitive, anyone?" Question mark.
Is that all he had?
That's all. That's all you
That's
need.
all you
to have.
need.
That's all you need.
That's
to
my
have.
number 1, Chris.
And
We're on
it
the
w-
same page.
Speaking of Chris's, Chris Trengrove, given it was Chris's list or top 5 topic that we brought, I wanted to bring in Chris's as well too. Chris had the Blues Brothers, Candyman, The Fugitive, Thief, and Widows. So very much lining up there for the most part. If you want to win a free Amazon movie like Chris Baker, be on the lookout for our top 5 picks on Facebook and on the site as well too. Chris, shoot us an email at contact@alternateending.com for details on how to claim your free Amazon movie rental. I want to close out by saying thanks so much for listening.
I
go
want to
ahead.
close up by saying that the UK Blu-ray of Mickey 1 is region free,
Woohoo!
and I will be buying it.
Do it
very soon.
through the site. Go through the site. I want to report out on it next week when we're going to be bringing not only our top 5 box office predictions for the summer of 2022. We're going to be doing our top 5 anticipated for the summer. So I'm really excited. That usually ends up being my favorite episode because I like to kind of gamble on what I think is going to be in the top 5 there, and then also think about the movies I'm most excited to see, because it's going to feel a little bit more, and we'll get there next week, but a little bit more like a normal, quote unquote. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. You just
Summer.
jinxed
But I
us.
knocked on some wood.
The variant just jumped out
Oh my gosh.
because of you.
In the meantime, head out to our Facebook page and like it, Twitter, where we're tweeting all the time, Instagram, where we're Instagram and alternateending.com, where you'll find all our movie reviews, podcasts, and more, YouTube and Facebook, where you'll find all of our videos. I should also mention our Discord. Head out to our Discord as well if you're looking for nice little community discussions on a variety of different topics. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google, and don't forget about Patreon. We will catch you next time.